On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Thacker and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we hand out some midseason awards for OU football. Then we preview the best games of week 6 of college football. And of course, we give you our winners and losers of the week. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right. Our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Wednesday, October 2nd, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Hacker and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted the OKC Metro's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful, award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of October, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Starting to feel like fall around here, Ted. I know we got a couple hot days left, but a little crispness in the morning in the state of Oklahoma.
Even the hot days, though, don't have the same sting to them. Even when it's 90 some degrees, you could tell relief is on its way.
It feels like only the outside of me is being
Yeah,
cooked, not like my full body. Not I'm not being cooked. My innards aren't being cooked as well.
you're not stuck in a pot roast all day long, right?
Exactly. It's crazy to think, but we're almost midway through this season for the Sooners, so we're gonna do what we do every year and hand out some mid-season awards on offense and defense. But before that, so much happened on the field during the Auburn game that I forgot to tell people that I shared an elevator with Charles Barkley. Like that's how much happened in the football game to where I completely forgot to tell the story that I shared an elevator with one of the most beloved people in this country.
And just like you would imagine, the 1 or 2 or 3 minutes you spent with Charles Barkley was epic, right?
I did not stop laughing the entire time. We went through this service elevator, which I actually was walking in and out of the Auburn recruiting lounge. And to their credit, couldn't have been nicer. They're like, let us know if you need anything, because they knew I was coming up and down from the booth. And I was just standing there waiting for the elevator, and Charles Barkley and his crew just roll up, and he stared me dead in the eyes. He goes, "Hey, welcome to Auburn." And it was just, it was so inviting.
How's
And
he say
then
Auburn?
Auburn, he said it normal. It sounded normal to me. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. But I was the one that informed him he was getting an award that day. He did not know. I was like, "Hey man, congrats on the award." He was like, "The hell are you talking about?" It's like, "You're getting an award today." And one of their PR people was like, "Yeah, it's the mayor award. It means you're the ultimate Auburn man." And he turns and goes, "Didn't I just give y'all $2 million?" It was pretty funny. And then he asked me, the funniest part was he asked me if he was like, let me ask you something. Does this happen in Oklahoma too? I every time, and I'll edit this for because I know a lot of people listen with their kids in the car. He go he goes, let me ask you something. Does this happen in Oklahoma? Every time I come here to Auburn, I get pissed off because I see all these pretty ladies with all these ugly ass guys. And it was so funny, man. It was everything that I hoped it would be.
Well, not to make this a Charles Barkley episode, but um, when I first got drafted to Detroit that summer, the Pistons, I think it was the NBA Finals that they were in, and obviously, like the TNT crew was in town for it, and I went out with some of the guys to the Blue Martini. Do you ever heard of that place?
Oh yeah.
Uh, so we were there, and I convinced him to do a shot of Patron, and he claimed that he hadn't had a shot in like years. Convinced him to do it. Does a shot of Patron, and then has to like run out like the exit door of the back and puked in the alley. It was awesome.
That's an awesome story. That's fantastic. Ted, of course you bullied Charles Barkley into taking tequila shots.
Hey,
That's on brand.
it didn't take very much convincing. I mean, he was a really easy pushover. If it was true he hadn't taken a shot in years, it was like okay, you didn't give up much of a fight.
Yeah. Charles Barkley, we love you. You're the best. All right, let's get to these midseason awards. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We've got a new In the Weeds video up from OU Auburn. We're going to drop another one of those. We're going to break down two more plays from that game, and that'll go up on our YouTube channel on Thursday night. This first award, this is going to be an interesting discussion, my friend. Our first midseason award that we're handing out is the offensive MVP. Starting off with the doozy. Offense has not gotten going. So here are our nominees. Javonte Barnes, 57 carries, 199 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He had a receiving touchdown, got wiped off the board, though.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Burks, 26 catches for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. All came in the opener. Didn't play in the Auburn game. Bauer Sharp, 18 catches for 159 yards and a touchdown. Our fourth nominee, Michael Hawkins. He's completed 62% of his passes. He's got 1 touchdown, 1 passing touchdown. Or does he just have 1 touchdown overall? He's got no.
No, he threw one to
He threw one in the
Tennessee, right?
Yeah, he threw one in Tennessee, and then he's got the rushing touchdown.
Right. Yep.
He's got 101 net rushing yards and a touchdown, and has breathed a little life into the offense. The other 2 nominees, you're not going to like this. Luke Elzinga.
I actually like it.
I consider the punter as part of the offense. And, dude, he's been awesome.
Yep.
29 punts, 45.8 yard average. He's put 13 inside of the 20. I think maybe the most important thing, I think he only has 2 touchbacks, and they've been on bombs.
Yeah.
He's got 11 punts over 50 yards, and the punt coverage has been really, really good.
Yeah. Excellent. He's been fantastic. I was looking at the SEC stats just the last couple of days, and they have him for 30 punts. The next closest team in the SEC is Alabama with 20 punts.
Ooh.
So he's been getting some, he needs a bye week to rest that leg a little bit, but he's been awesome.
My only other nominee I could come up with is the offensive lineman I believe that has been the most consistent for this team, and that is Michael Tarquin.
I agree with that because he's had to play right, which he's not a right tackle, and then finally he's only spent a handful of snaps at left tackle until the Auburn game, which is his home, right?
And it hasn't been perfect, but I think that he's played at a very consistent level, no matter where he's been at, and he has exceeded my expectations. So he gets a nomination as well. So we've got Barnes, Burke, Sharp, Hawkins, Tarquin, Elzinga. Those are your nominees, Ted. Who are you going with? Who are we going with? We got to pick someone. The offense has not been good. I'm optimistic and hopeful that it will get better moving forward with Michael Hawkins at the quarterback position and this offensive line finally intact. But we got to pick someone. So who are you going with for the offensive MVP midseason award for Oklahoma football?
To me, it only took me a second to contemplate, but it's Michael Hawkins. I mean, and I know that is
I'm
I
not going to lie. I was very, very nervous that you were actually going to pick the punter because Elzinga, he's been incredible. But
yeah.
in the back of my head, I was like, there's no way Teddy's actually going to pick the punter, is there? Ooh.
I mean, Hawkins, he's played a game and a half. And over that game and a half, you have to recognize that the offense has had more life. He's taken care of the football. He's created some big plays where there was nothing there. He's put his body on the line. I think his teammates have responded to that, and doing it all as a true freshman, leads you to believe that we're just now scratching the surface. There's going to be some bumps along the way, no doubt, but you feel like he's just getting on the on ramp, and things are really going to escalate from here on out. So it's kind of slim pickings at the moment, but I'm going with Mike Hawkins, and I feel good about it. Like, I think that's who you have to go with.
Do you consider the fact that it feels like the offense is headed in the right direction with him?
Yep.
It feels like the offense was stuck. And now with his mobility and how that can affect the way defenses have to game plan this offense, it feels like it could open some more things up. I don't know what's realistic to expect when it comes to the receiver situation. Right now, I kind of feel like you got the guys you got.
Yeah.
And you just got to make it work. And if it's going to work, they have to play to his strengths and tweak some things offensively. And I'm hopeful and optimistic that the offensive staff will recognize that and make the necessary changes to set him up for success. But he gives us hope. He gives us hope that this offense can get on track. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Maybe the hope he gives us is why he's the offensive MVP for the
That's
midseason.
it. I mean, that's kind of it. Two questions. First, did it hold true in the game? I didn't even think of it until after the fact. Venables had alluded to getting the RPO stuff out, at least for the time being. So was there any of that in the game? I don't remember much of it if there was. And number two, as they progress, do you think they'll start to sprinkle some of that back in with him?
I do. I think they're going to trust him to make good decisions with the football. Yeah, there were several RPOs.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't one of those situations where they completely eliminated it, but I do think some of the run game was just kind of him reading a guy as opposed to reading this overall big picture. Hey, do I read this guy, I read the coverage, and then I throw the RPO? Like they ran the zone slice RPO stuff, or at least that's how it looked to me. But it did
He's at
feel
least giving the appearance to the defense that it's an RPO.
correct. There are some plays where he's putting his eyes in certain places as he's handing off where it doesn't really look like there's an RPO as an option. It's just he's giving the illusion of one with where he's putting his eyes. But I would anticipate, I honestly don't think they're going to do a bunch of that. I think Brent Venables wants to keep it a little more simple for his freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can make some tweaks in the run game, if you can get a little more variety, if you can continue to attack the edges of the defense with the running back and with Michael Hawkins and what he can do with his leg, I think that brings more value to the offense than putting a bunch of the RPO stuff back in.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I think they'll naturally just continue to add things to his plate as long as the decision making stays good and efficient.
Michael Hawkins, midseason offensive MVP
There
for
you
the
go.
Oklahoma Sooners? I'm sorry, Luke Elzinga. You probably deserve it, but
Runner up. We'll give him run. Special teams player of the year. Maybe we didn't plan on the special teams MVP, but we'll just throw it his way anyways.
oh yeah, there's no doubt. Special teams MVP, Luke Elzinga. Congratulations, Luke. On to defensive MVP. A, a much more interesting conversation than the offensive
Big list.
MVP. Here are the nominees I've come up with. Danny Stutsman leads the team in tackles with 40. He's got 22 solos, 2 tackles for loss, and surprising, 0 sacks for Danny.
Yeah.
We've got Robert
He's
Spears
had a lot
Jennings.
of pressures.
Yeah. I've got Robert Spears Jennings, 35 total tackles, 24 solo. He's got 3.5 TFLs, 2 sacks, an interception, and 2 forced fumbles. Billy Bowman, he's got 23 tackles overall, 17 solos, a tackle for loss, an interception, and a fumble recovery. Kip Lewis, 21 tackles, 13 solo, 1.5 TFLs, an interception, which of course was returned for a touchdown at Auburn. R. Mason Thomas is the last nominee. 12 tackles, 8 solo, 6.5 TFLs, 5.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery.
He's a co-leader for sacks in the SEC currently.
I love hearing that. So those are the nominees I've got. Stutsman, RSJ, Bowman, Kip Lewis, R. Mason Thomas. Really no love for the guys doing all the dirty work at the line of scrimmage. I'm sorry. Hey, you got to produce, right?
Yeah.
As good as I think Jaden Jackson and Dominic Williams and Ethan Downs have done, like doing their job, you got to make plays to get the midseason MVP award. I mean, this is very prestigious stuff. So I feel comfortable about the nominees. Stutsman, RSJ, Bowman, Kip Lewis, R. Mason Thomas. Ted, what say you? Who's the defensive MVP so far for this football team?
Now this one is not nearly as straightforward, in my opinion. It's a little more difficult, but in my opinion, the defensive MVP through this first half of the season is Danny Stutsman. I could make the case, and I think it's almost pretty apparent that statistically Robert Spears Jennings has been better. But that doesn't account for the fact that Stutsman is playing 2 positions. The leadership role that he has, just you can tell the communication, getting guys lined up, just that voice there at the second level, directing traffic, all of those things that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, and he's been great there. So I got to give it to Stutsman. But man, Robert Spears Jennings has been incredible, and he is, because of the production, he's going to be knocking on the door all SEC first team safety if he continues to play the way he's playing right now. When you think about some of the tackles that he's made, the 2 sacks that he has are huge. The forced fumble, obviously against Tennessee, was a massive moment in the football game. He's been incredible. He is my very, very close runner-up.
I really thought you were going to go R. Mason Thomas. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It has been, is it, I think that when you look at R. Mason, the end of a couple of these games has just been spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to, I mean, for lack of a better term, the boring parts of playing that edge spot, it could be better.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the moments when it's just, hey, go rush the passer, go do your thing. When this defense has gotten in those moments, he's been awesome. They're calling him the closer, Ted. The closer. Awesome.
I like
nickname.
it. Well, the problem is we haven't had big leads on people where they have to start drop back pass.
Right.
You've heard me talk about it. It's almost all 7, 8 man protection that they're getting until the very end of the game. And that's whenever he's able to cut it loose. I mean, and he's done some really good stuff. He had a great play in the game against Auburn where he smashed and held point on the outside, contained it, squeezed that hole down. Running back had nowhere to go, tried to bounce. He disengaged, came out, made a nice play. I was worried he was going to get a horse collar, but he's done some good things. But, he's tied for the lead in the SEC in sacks, but 3 of those came against Tulane, right? So I do factor that in a little bit, but he's close. For me, this is only the halfway point. We're really not even at the halfway point. It is, I would say, it's as wide open as I can remember for a defensive MVP at this point in the season. I think you got a bunch of guys. I mean, anyone on that list right there, and you could probably add a guy or two, has a chance to be the defensive MVP by the time everything's said and done.
Well, it will be very prestigious when we hand out the postseason awards.
Yeah.
Almost as
We may even have
prestigious
to
as
have a trophy made up or something.
we should.
Yeah.
There's some companies here. Isn't the company that makes all the trophies, aren't they in like Midwest City?
Yeah. I think there's like 3 of them like that are huge across the country that are in Oklahoma.
Holler at us. We'll get some hardware to these guys when we hand
Do
out
we make it legit or do we kind of make it like
definitely a joke.
Yeah.
We can't make it legit. But just
kinda
our
like
faces on it.
The 2 faces like on the
Where we hand it to them and they go, "What the hell is this?"
So ridiculous that you have to put it somewhere to be seen.
I do want to give a shout out to Kendall Dolby.
Yeah.
Before the injury, I remember missed a game with a concussion, but before the injury, said that guy was playing at a very high level and just brought so much energy to that cheetah position and just violence to that position. He was putting together a really, really good season. And then, of course, tragedy strikes in the Tennessee game. But I felt we should acknowledge Dolby because he was on his way to having a hell of a 2024 season.
Yeah, he was. Hate that. He is a difference maker, especially like coming up against Texas. Games like that have really good passing attacks is where you're going to feel that with Kendall Dolby being gone. He gave us an excellent coverage option right there at the cheetah spot.
All right, let's hand out our favorite offensive and defensive play of the year so far. But first, fuel your journey at Love's Travel Stops and save 10 cents per gallon on gas and auto diesel. Download the Love's Connect app today. It takes just seconds to unlock savings when you scan your barcode in the app at the pump. This discount and other mobile deals on drinks and snacks are available at more than 640 Love's locations across the country. Before your next trip, download the Love's Connect app, your guide to savings on the road.
Oh, you tailgaters, listen up. We are now officially in the Premium Conference of College Football, and you expect a premium product on the field and on the grill. That's why you need Didier Ranch's steak burgers to take your tailgate to the next level. Proudly raised in Oklahoma for over 120 years, premium beef this good is hard to come by. Go to DidierRanch.com. That's DIDIER ranch.com. Use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Didier Ranch, tradition plays better and tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. This season, Simple Modern is creating unique drinkware for each home game, so get your exclusive refillable Sooner cups at any of the last 3 home games. And when away games have you cheering at home, get your OU gear at simplemodern.com or Amazon's Simple Modern shop, along with more than 100 partnerships with colleges and professional sports teams. With 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, many in Oklahoma, you're also helping Oklahomans off the field. Simple Modern, it's good everywhere. Favorite offensive play of the season so far? Nominees: Jackson Arnold to Deion Burks on the slot fade for a touchdown against Temple.
That was nice. Very nice.
Beautiful execution. Great route. Nice throw. Looked really good. Had us all very excited for that connection for the rest of the season.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Clearly, a lot has changed since then. Second nominee, Jake Roberts, touchdown against Houston. Put OU up 14-3 in that game, but really that's more about the story.
Yeah.
Norman Kidd, first touchdown as a Sooner, just a really, really cool moment for Jake Roberts. We had Jackson Arnold's 24-yard scramble touchdown to extend the lead to 31-19 against Tulane. Huge play in that football game. And
Yeah.
it made you think, hey, Jackson Arnold's on his way. It felt like a growth game for him.
It did.
Gave you hope moving forward. The played well, and then clearly things changed. But doesn't take away from the fact that that was a massive play in that football game. Other nominees: Michael Hawkins, 48-yard scramble touchdown on the first drive of Auburn.
Huge.
Massive play. Then we've got two more. Michael Hawkins to J.J. Hester for 60 yards with 9 minutes to go against Auburn. It just like breathed life into that game
Yeah.
for the offense.
I mean, that was I that might be is that the longest play of the season?
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Michael
Yeah.
Hawkins has the longest pass and the longest run of the season.
There you go.
And then the last nominee, just because it was awesome, Michael Hawkins helicoptering into the end zone for the 2-point conversion to make it 24-21 against Auburn. I thought about putting Michael Hawkins flipping in versus Tennessee just because it kind of showed.
Yeah.
It showed something. It showed what that kid was made of, but they did rule him short. So,
Right.
great play, but not a nominee. So, had some interesting nominees for the midseason award for favorite offensive play. Which one we going with? Remember, very prestigious award here.
Yeah. For me, it's I consider all the variables that are in there. And going on the road to Auburn, the first quarterback, true freshman to start his first game on the road since Troy Aikman. Isn't that right? Isn't that what that
Yeah,
was?
that's what I read.
So to go out there and on your very first series have the longest run of the season for a touchdown to set the tone in that football game, to me, I've got to go with the 48-yard scramble for a touchdown against Auburn on the road.
I understand why you went with that one. And it was an awesome moment because we were all looking around going, we're the best offense in the country now. This kid's amazing.
Can't be stopped. We cannot be stopped.
There's no way anyone will stop us with this kid at quarterback. It's not going to happen. He's incredible. But I would take the play to Hester. There's a lot that goes into that play because it felt, they missed the field goal. It was 21-10 at the time. And OU had finally, on the field goal drive, the drive before that, or I guess they turned it over on downs. Remember, they had the field goal drive, then they had the drive where they end up turning over on downs, where there was a holding penalty that took the Sawchuck run off the board. And that just felt like a gut punch when they turned it over on downs right there. It kind of felt like the game was over. And then for the defense to force them to kick the field goal, and then for that play to happen, I don't know, it just felt like this big spark in that game.
It did, because it came out of nowhere. We hadn't hardly done anything for 2.5 quarters or so, and then boom, you hit that. And not just because that was a big deal, I think, for J.J. Hester to make that play. Because he's been battling, he's trying, been trying to make an impression on this offense, and he came through in a big game on the road. So no, I can't argue with that one at all.
It was one of those game kind of feels over. Although normally when I think the game is over, what do I say during the commercial break on the broadcast, Ted?
This game's over.
This game's over. I did not say that during this game.
No, you did.
I don't know why. I never felt that. So I never clicked over and said, boys, Game's over. I didn't say it for whatever reason. And it just this team had not been able to complete explosive plays in the passing game. And I don't know, I just felt like everybody on that team seeing them complete an explosive play made the entire football team believe. I don't know. That's just I thought it was a massive play. Huge moment for JJ Hester. A beautiful throw for Michael
Perfect.
Hawkins Jr.
Couldn't have been
But
better.
you get to decide, are you going with the Hawkins scramble for the touchdown, which was so fun, or are you going with the bomb to Hester?
I guess you
One's
make
a touchdown, one's not. So
right. You make a compelling argument, and now that I think about it, the spark that it gave, and the fact that I feel like that is going to be something that maybe a turning point for JJ Hester for this season, I'll go with the 60-yard pass.
I've convinced you.
Convinced me.
That's a weird feeling. I did not expect that. This feels good. Best visual, though, Hawkins helicoptering into the end zone. That was awesome.
Yep. That's probably the one that's going to be replayed the most for years to come.
Yes. There's no doubt about that. That was sweet. But congratulations to Michael Hawkins and JJ Hester on your midseason award
Big
for
time.
our favorite offensive play. Big time. Big time honor. All right, let's get to our favorite defensive play so far in the season. The nominees, got 5 of them. The Kenai Walker interception against Temple, and simply because Kendall Dolby's reaction to not catching it himself and jumping up and down in anger as Kenai Walker is returning the ball the other way is one of my favorite moments of the season.
It's funny. Yeah, the play's going right by him, and he is just totally oblivious to it. He's pissed. He wanted that interception for himself.
Grayson Halton's safety against Houston.
Huge.
Huge play. Made it 16-12. What a random score.
Had to have it.
And let's be real. The offensive line, guy went the wrong way. Right guard goes the wrong way, but hey, when a team makes a mistake, you got to make them pay, and that's what Grayson Halton did. He is unblocked. A little bit
of hesitation, and it's not a safety.
Well, yeah, you should have a little bit of hesitation when no one blocks you as a defensive lineman.
Well, what usually happens when no one blocks you as a defensive lineman?
It's a screen,
it's
a trap, or someone's coming to ear hole you.
That's right. So I mean, it's fights against all of your instinct that's been coached into you.
But that was a game that was too close for comfort, and that was a massive play in the football game.
Yep.
Third nominee, Robert Spears-Jennings' sack and strip of Nico Iamaleava when Ethan Downs picked it up, returned it to the 5. It felt massive in the moment. It was a 10-3 game.
Yes.
At that point, gave the Sooners prime field position at the plus 5 yard line. We were all feeling great. We don't have to talk about what happened next, but that was a huge play in that football game. I don't want to get you mad, so we don't have to talk about the turnover on the next play. Let's not do it. I don't want to get your blood pressure up.
Not get me mad. I'm happy about it.
No, you're not. That's a lie.
Well, no, here's the thing. Had the offense converted that into a touchdown, it's easily the number 1 play of the season.
Correct.
But that unfortunately influences the decision.
Trace Ford, next nominee. Trace Ford's sack and strip of Nico Iamaleava to give the ball to OU's offense at the Tennessee 33-yard line. I believe there was 5.5 minutes to go in the first half. It was a 12-3 game at the time. Offense had just given up a safety. And things were not feeling good in the stadium, and it breathed life back into the football team. gave the offense the ball in prime field position, plus 33. We know what happened next, but still, massive play from the defense.
And I still believe the best individual pass rush of the season. Uh, Teach tape stuff, getting that rip all the way down, hips are turned, go and finish with the chop, knock the ball out. Incredible play. Again, wish it would have had a payoff on the backside of it, but that play, that's definitely one of my favorite plays of the year.
Last nominee, the Kip Six. 63-yard interception return for a touchdown with 4 minutes to go in the football game against Auburn that made it 22-21. Did you see Peyton Thorne talking about the play?
Yeah, that's exactly what you were talking about
when,
in
when
the
we
in the
when we
weeds.
broke it down on In the Weeds, I said that's where he should have gone with the ball, and he said 10 times out of 10, I'm going to that guy.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying there. Like every input that he got says this is what you need to do. But he's getting roasted for saying that, you know. But like I know what he's saying. I can understand what he's saying. It's like everything that he sees is telling you to go right there. And if I did that 10 times again, seeing getting all of the same input, I would make the same move every time. But people are not taking it that way.
It was interesting to hear him talk about it being an option route, and the wide receiver had a chance to just run
Yeah, yeah,
like an out route. Ball doesn't get picked off if he just runs the out route. It's probably a first down.
yeah. There's a
But
reason
hey,
though, like we talked about it on the in the weeds. There's a reason that he takes that step to the outside. You've got droppers in the middle. So if you're going to lose him to the inside.
yep. If you're not watching In the Weeds, what are you doing? Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We break down that play in in very fine detail. And turns out Auburn's quarterback completely agrees with our assessment of that play. So how about
I
that?
like that. I like how blown away the guys on that TV show or whatever it was were. It's like it took you almost a minute to explain that. That happens for every player on the field 70 snaps a game. You have to go through that type of process over that super fast. Not easy to do.
A lot of thinking that goes out there on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It sometimes football can be a simple game, but there's a lot of thinking that takes place in
You
a
got to do a
very
lot of
short.
thinking before you can make it simple.
Absolutely. All right, you got to pick one. Feel like it's obvious.
It's obvious. Whenever whenever there's an actual name coined for the play and everyone knows what you're talking about, the Kip Six, then what are we talking about, right? That's going to be the number one play so far, and uh, that one's going to be hard to unseat as the winner as the season goes on. But hey, I hope something better than that happens. My runner up is the Robert Spears Jennings sack fumble against Tennessee, but had to go with the Kip Six. Incredible. The whole the chess match leading into that, it was interesting to hear that they did the same thing against Arkansas, and how Oklahoma had a little smoke screen for it off of that. And obviously the payoff was incredible to take the lead on the road. Incredible stuff.
I I think the Robert Spears Jennings sack and then the offense turning it over against Tennessee. I think that is undoubtedly the winner for Teddy Lehman's angriest moment on the radio broadcast so far this season.
Yeah.
I couldn't see you, but I could feel your anger coming through the radio.
The steam, it was the body temp was rising quickly.
Yes,
That's for sure.
that was quite the moment. All right, let's get to caller shot. We asked you guys simple question, your favorite moment of the season so far. This first one comes from Ethan Garner. who said, maybe not a specific moment for me, but all 5.5 are Mason Thomas sacks. Trying not to get too excited. It feels like OU has an elite edge rusher. A huge question for me going into the season. It is refreshing to see a talented defensive line as a whole.
I agree. Um, we've said it a lot. Um, coming into this year, the missing link or the final piece of the puzzle we talked about is, are they going to have an elite one-on-one guy? When you have to have pressure, you have to have someone get to the quarterback in big pivotal moments. Do we have that guy? And it appears that we do, right? So I think he's the piece that's kind of brought everything full circle all together. So I think that's great. I think I agree with that. It's good to see him finally healthy, that get off the bend that he's got, being able to turn the corner. Excellent. And, you know, he he's great at the end of games, whenever he's getting some good one-on-one opportunities, but he's been good across the board. His play at the line of scrimmage and just the run stuff and everything is massively improved.
This other one comes from Nick Galona. And this one actually made me smile because it's a great point. He just says, seeing the excitement in the fan base all over campus the day of the Tennessee game. That was a great reminder. We all have this. I've tried to eliminate that game in my mind because of how it went offensively, but the energy, the atmosphere for that football game was as good as I've ever seen in Norman. And that was a whole lot of fun until it wasn't. And
Yeah.
still, to the crowd's credit, the offense was just not good in that game. And the crowd stayed in it, and everyone was still engaged. I thought the fans were incredible for the Tennessee game.
Back to that RSJ sack fumble, that has to be one of the loudest moments in that stadium's history, right?
No doubt. I mean, no doubt. It was really, they were great.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
All right, let's get to our week 6 college football previews. But first,
Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality meats, hot dogs, and sausages in OKC since 1912. Go to schwabmeat.com to order any of Schwab's outstanding products and use promo code OK Breakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab dogs are iconic. I like to keep it simple, just the bun, the dog, maybe a little mustard and ketchup. Always really good. Also, the jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage is ridiculous. Schwabmeat.com, code OK Breakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab Meat, the official hot dog of game days.
and 3 things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you're headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all the garage locations being open to 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood.
It's already week 6 in college football, Ted. We got some good ones. Let's start in College Station. Number 9 Missouri travels to take on number 25 Texas A&M. This game will be an 11 a.m. kickoff on ABC. And the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies are a 2-point favorite at home. Ted, I assume this has everything to do with Missouri just not looking like the team people thought they were going to look like.
Yeah. Little bit different without the excellent running game that they had a year ago. The offenses just seemed a little bit lethargic, and it's not going to be easy to get it going at Texas A&M. Say what you want about A&M, but that is a tough environment to play football. It's going to be loud. They've got a good, solid defense with a lot of talent, and and you heard Drinkwitz talking about it. There's some smoke screen there about who's going to start at quarterback. I agree with him that it's going to be Marcel Reed. He makes that A&M offense just look a little bit different, a little more dangerous. Um, so can Texas A&M actually win the football game? My goodness, I don't know, but I, I think it's going to be incredibly close. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'd take Texas A&M like 2017, something like that.
I think that's definitely in the realm of possibility. My only hesitation, and the reason I'm picking Missouri to win the football game, is they've got experience at quarterback.
Yeah.
Brady Cook has played a ton of football. He's played in a lot of big games, and he needs to be really, really good in this game because Missouri, you look at the statistics, the running game has been solid, but it's not what it was with Schrader last year. It's just not. If you go and watch it, it's not as dynamic as it
They
was
led
a year
the
ago.
SEC easily in rushing last year,
It-
right?
yeah, and I think A&M's got a really good defensive line, and I think it could be difficult for Missouri to run the football consistently in this game, which means that Brady Cook's got to make plays in the passing game. And he's got weapons. Theo Weiss is having a good season. Luther Burden is having a solid season, definitely below expectations for a guy that talented,
It can
but
go, it can happen any moment.
at any moment. And that's what I think needs to happen. I think Luther Burden needs to be the difference in this football game for Missouri.
It feels like one of those things where if you're scanning box scores after the game and you check Luther Burden's stat sheet and he it doesn't look like he's got two or three catches for 30 or 40 yards, that ain't going to get it done. That's probably a Missouri loss. But if he has like a big explosive 65-yard touchdown, something like that, it's going to take something like that, I feel like, for them to be able to go in and get the win.
I like Marcel Reed. I think their offense has looked a little more dynamic with him at the quarterback position ever since Wegman went out. But he's also a
Still ain't good.
freshman.
Yeah.
He's a freshman. And this game is going to feel huge. And as good as he's looked at moments in these last couple games for him, he hasn't been in an environment like this. And I know it's at home, and I know he just played in a rivalry game at a neutral site, but there's a certain feeling, there's a certain pressure that comes with a top 10 team coming to town.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how Marcel Reed handles it. But one other factor is, hey, A&M, they just played a tough one against Arkansas, and Missouri's coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to get ready for this game. So do the rest and preparation, the extra preparation, does that give Missouri enough of an edge to where they can go and win this football game? I think you combine that with the experience of Brady Cook at quarterback and the fact that Missouri's got the best playmaker on the field with Luther Burden. I know a lot of people are really down on Missouri, but I think they're going to go win the football game. I really can't explain it. I can't justify it by saying, "Hey, this is where all the pieces come together." I just think that experience at quarterback, the extra rest, the extra preparation, I maybe I end up looking like an idiot, but I like Missouri in the game.
Yeah. It's,
And
I
by the way,
can't,
it's up to 2.5. Texas A&M minus 2.5.
I can't argue with anything that you said. I mean, I think you make the most logical case for it. Um,
You could just say you think Mike Elko's a better football coach than Eli Drinkwitz. Also,
yeah, I think I probably do. but does his team play exactly like he wants them to play yet? It takes time to get all of your systems, your philosophy into where your team is actually mirroring what it is you want them to do. I, the only reason I'm just very slightly favoring A&M is the fact that it's at home. That's it. That's the only reason. Neutral site at Missouri. I think Missouri wins the football game, and they still are going to be right there. But I'm just, if Missouri doesn't win the football game, they may fall quite a bit because they're only in the top 10 because of what they did last season. That's the only reason, right?
No doubt.
Yep.
And it's a massive game for that team because there are extremely high expectations for them this year with the way that their schedule lays out. So we'll see. One fun fact: Missouri covered the spread in every road game last season.
Huh.
Just makes you think a little bit.
Yeah.
Just makes you think. But we'll see. I'm excited to watch that game.
Yeah. I am
Sounds
too.
like you like the Aggies, and I'll be on the Tigers side of things.
Ah, man.
It doesn't feel good either way, brother.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
no.
It doesn't.
It feels gross either way. All right, moving on to the next game. Number 12, Ole Miss travels to South Carolina. 2:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. Ted, you're going to have to help me with this spread. Ole Miss is currently a 9-point favorite on the road against the Gamecocks. Make it make sense. After what we just saw Ole Miss do against Kentucky, the way we saw that offense struggle, and Kentucky's got a damn good defense. Don't get me wrong. But I'm supposed to pick Ole Miss to win by double digits against this South Carolina team in that environment. There's no way in hell.
No, I'm with you. South Carolina's defensive line is excellent.
That Kennard guy is a beast.
He is. He
I
is.
remember him at Georgia Tech, but he is. I think it's the jerseys. I think it's the color palette. It just
It
makes him
is a
look.
good look.
It just
Mean.
makes him, especially when he's in black. It just makes him look like just a
Yes.
bad dude.
And with Ole Miss, Ole Miss feels like a fragile football team to me. And maybe that's not fair. It's just kind of the feeling I get. They don't have a deep rooted culture that you just get behind and lean on when things get tough and you drop a game that maybe you weren't supposed to, a disappointing performance at home. You got a bunch of transfer portal guys, and I know everyone does now, but I don't know. I feel like that is a team where they can start questioning the coaching staff really quickly, and things can fall apart. And South Carolina, that is going to be a crazy environment. And with that defensive line, they are going to be smelling blood in the water after what they just watched with Ole Miss against Kentucky. I think South Carolina wins the football game. I mean, I know that's a wild pick, but now they're going to have to be able to run the football. They hardly throw.
Well,
I think
Lenore
South Carolina's thrown
Sellers,
85 passes this season.
yeah, well, Lenore Sellers is reportedly back from the ankle injury that he suffered against LSU, and he's going to be the quarterback in this game. And he makes their offense so much more dynamic than what they could do with Robbie Ashford because of Ashford's limitations
Mm-hmm.
throwing the football. So, I mean, if you go back and remember early in that football game against LSU, how that South Carolina offense was rolling with
They're running them off the
Sellers
field.
at quarterback.
Yeah, running them
I
out of the stadium.
I have to assume though, Shane Beamer's a hell of a football coach. We love the guy. You got to assume that they're going to look at what Kentucky did and try to utilize that blueprint a little bit.
No doubt.
Take them into the deep water, really control time of possession. You got to get stops on defense. That's what Kentucky did. They won the battle at the line of scrimmage and got stops. but I assume that's what South Carolina is going to try to do. Not necessarily milk the clock, but just control the pace of the game.
Yep.
And if they can do that, man, I think they got everything they need to win this football game.
Kentucky exposed Ole Miss, and I didn't watch the whole game, but I did watch a good pieces of it as it was on right before us, and they made Ole Miss look bad. Not like that was not a fluke. They made Ole Miss look bad, and Dart was absolutely rattled. He looked very average or below as quarterback against what is a good solid defense. And South Carolina is exactly that, led by that good defensive line.
It's interesting. South Carolina's coming off a bye. They're going to be well rested. That atmosphere is going to be insane for this football game. And meanwhile, Ole Miss is limping into this one. They lost the game to the one team with a pulse that they've played this season.
Yeah.
Now, I think Kentucky's a good football team. Don't get me wrong. But the first opponent they played that was worth a damn beat them on their home field.
A little bit of a pushback, and they melted.
So what has Ole Miss done this season that could make you think that they could go into that type of environment in Columbia and win by double digits? They lost to the one team at home that they played that has a pulse.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no way I would take Ole Miss to cover that. And I wouldn't touch this game, period. I got no idea. I have no idea how this one's going to go, but this game feels very big for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Because if you lose this one, all of a sudden the season that was supposed to be a special one where you're going to the playoff, all these transfer guys, who knows what happens if you drop two in a row.
That's what I'm saying. That's the one thing I've been kind of wondering with Ole Miss. Like, be careful what you wish for. As Lane Kiffin, first of all, you had the best job in the world, not very high expectations. We just want to be competitive. But you start saying we're never going to be competitive unless we get a ton of money to buy players. Well, they gave you a ton of money to buy players, and guess what comes with that? Expectations. And they're going to be angry if it doesn't pay off. And how can you hold that team together? I don't know. It's a big. You have to pick who wins the game, though. I'm not letting you off that easy.
Give me Ole Miss. Just because do you want to hear my reasoning?
Sure.
The transitive property in football. Kentucky got destroyed by South Carolina. Kentucky then went to Ole Miss and beat Ole Miss. So, of course, Ole Miss is going to go to South Carolina and smoke South Carolina.
To complete the circle?
Yeah.
You got
because the transitive property doesn't work.
Right.
If Kentucky smashes or gets smashed by South Carolina and then Kentucky beats Ole Miss, you would think, well, Ole Miss, they're going to struggle with South Carolina. College football is weird. That is my reasoning for picking Ole Miss to win the football game. Would never in a million years lay the 9. No chance. But college football, baby, it's weird. It makes no sense. So Ole Miss is going to win the football game.
That's as good of a reason as I've ever heard.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope Shane Beamer is surfing on his players in the locker room after the game.
I'll say this. Even though we still haven't played our best football, and it's hard to really know what our capabilities are going to be this year. The back half of the schedule is looking a lot better than it did preseason. It's still not. I mean, it's still going to be incredibly difficult. There's no doubt. But Ole Miss looks more gettable. Missouri looks more gettable. LSU looks more gettable. We'll see.
I think right now, when you look at the SEC, you've got four teams where if they're on the schedule, you go, oh boy,
Mm-hmm.
that's Alabama, that's Tennessee, that's Georgia, and that's the Texas Longhorns. And then everyone else, the other 12,
Any given day.
you look at and you go, hey, we can win that game.
Yep.
Those four looking real strong.
Yep.
The other 12, this thing feels wide open, which makes it a lot of fun. So I completely agree with you. You look at the rest of OU's schedule, a lot of teams that you thought were I don't want to you don't want to say they weren't winnable games, but you thought they were going to be really, really tough to walk out of there with a win. You look at them, even with OU's offensive situation, and you go, I could see it happening.
Play the right game. Don't turn the football over. I mean that if we are just solid and efficient on offense and don't turn the ball over, we should have a chance to win most of the games. I mean, doesn't mean you will, but you should have a chance late. They should be able to keep you within striking distance.
Win in the margins, turnover margin, field position, make your field goals, that type of stuff.
Yep.
That's stuff that everyone loves talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about one more game. And number 10 Michigan at Washington, 6:30 on NBC. The only reason I'm bringing this up is it's a rematch of last year's national title game. And holy hell, has a lot changed since then. Washington's a 2.5 point favorite over Michigan.
It's crazy. I mean, only in college football can two teams play in the national championship, and 8 months later, two new head coaches. Uh, the offense, the players dramatically on Washington have changed, and I guess Michigan to a certain degree. But it's crazy that there could be that much change in such little time in programs.
Help me understand. Why should I think that Michigan, with Alex Orji at quarterback, can't just go into this game and pound the rock, play great defense, and walk out of there with a win? Exactly how they beat USC. I don't think Washington's nearly as good as USC.
I think they can. It's not like
I keep staring
Washington.
at this line going, what am I missing? Washington, and I think Jed Fish is a hell of a football coach.
Yes.
I think he's going to build there. I think it's just going to take a little time to get the right guys. They've lost to Washington State and Rutgers. They're a 3-2 football team. And they're a 2.5 point favorite over Michigan with that defense. I don't know, man. Give me the Wolverines.
Yeah.
Spread, money line. Give it all to me.
I like Jed Fish. But his style of team and offense that kind of plays into Michigan's strength with how they defend. You know, kind of an NFL style football game called on both sides, at least defensively from Michigan and offensively from Washington. I think that plays into Michigan's strength.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Will Rogers comes out, slings it all over the field, and Michigan just can't stop Washington's passing attack. Maybe it looks like the Texas game. I don't think Washington has Texas's caliber of players, though, right now.
Yeah. And it's just if you can get Michigan to where they have to play from behind by a couple of scores, you can beat their ass.
No doubt. Agreed.
But can you get out to that point? I mean, that's whenever things really change. If you're having trouble going the field on them, they are gonna turn it into the most boring football game ever, and that's when quarterbacks, a guy like Will Rogers, who's thrown like 10,000 passes in his career, is just gonna get lulled into I've got to make something happen. I've got to make something happen, and that's when you turn the ball over.
Michigan isn't nearly what they were a year ago. Neither is Washington. Both very flawed football teams, but even though I think the Michigan offense is very limited, I just think they can go pound the rock and walk out of there with a win.
And what they do really nullifies the road environment, you know, the style of play they have.
They get in this huddle thing where they're really close together and they can just talk. It's weird.
Very slow, very deliberate, not a lot going on the line of scrimmage. It's just we're going to try and get 3.5 or 4 here, and then do it again, and again, and again.
I I did not expect to be interested in that game. Once I saw that line, I went,
Huh.
odds makers, you have my attention. Very effective. Very effective. I'll have eyes on the rematch.
It's college football, though. I mean, you know how it goes. Most difficult thing in the world to predict.
No doubt. All right, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the week. But first,
Insurica has launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements, Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
and head to oplisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. Oplisclothing.com, promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off. As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Baker Mayfield.
Nice.
Another great week from him. He's been so fun to watch. Just they stomped all over the Eagles. He had a huge day. 30 of 47 for 347, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, and ran one in. He continues to be fantastic. The Tampa Bay Bucks continue to be a very entertaining team to watch. They've got a good leg up there in the division in the South. They got a big one this week, but Atlanta's showing some signs. New Orleans looked good in the first couple of games. They've lost 2 straight, but Tampa Bay's cruising pretty good, man.
What do you think? He's been a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL this year?
5.
Top 5. I'm all for that.
You think that's too high?
Well, I think and QBR is what it is, right? And I don't think anyone really knows how that formula works, but I think he's 12th in QBR. Yeah, he's 12th. He's one spot in front of some guy named Patrick Mahomes. But when you look at the old school just QB rating formula, it's for simpler guys like me.
Mm-hmm.
I think traditional QB rating, he's 4th in the league.
Yeah.
But
I think he's top 5 in yards. He's been efficient. They're a 3-1 football team.
that's the most important thing is they're a 3-1 football team and leading the division. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ultimately, you can look at all the stats you want, but it's about winning football games.
Yeah. Now, does it continue on that trajectory? I mean, we'll see, but I mean, up to this point, I'd say, I mean, that's where I'd put him. I mean, to me, clearly in the top 10.
Is the Broncos going to Tampa Bay and just hammering the Bucks maybe the most confusing game of the NFL season?
It is. It's weird how some of those random things happen in the league. It's like just to keep everyone guessing because they were playing awesome going into that. You thought, oh, this is the sure thing. But yeah, that's a strange one for sure.
Was awesome seeing Baker connect with Sterling Shepard in
Yes,
that game against the Eagles. And
that
I
was great.
saw
That's good.
he's been Shep has been kind of bouncing back and forth between the practice squad and the active roster. And I saw something that's no longer going to happen. He's just going to be cemented there on the 53-man roster. And that's what happens when you
Oh,
go out in games and you make plays.
that's right. That's right. That's awesome to see. Now, what have you thought about the little back and forth between Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield?
I I think it's very on brand for Baker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's right. Like I don't disagree with what he said. I have to imagine that when you've got Tom Brady in the locker room, and I never played with Tom Brady, but I have to imagine there's a certain seriousness that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you really can't argue with the approach with what that guy's accomplished.
No,
But there's no doubt Baker's probably a more laid back, like fun type of guy. I have to imagine if you are, and maybe this is the best way to put it, if you are a young player, you probably weren't extremely comfortable walking up to Tom Brady and be like, "Hey man, how's it going?"
right.
I don't think that's an issue with Baker. And I think both ways are fine. And I think Brady's response, like, oh, I didn't like Super Bowls is the goal, and that's what we did. So I get both sides of it.
I do too. Um, everyone's different, and there's no one way to do it. Now, it's hard to argue and say that there's a better way to do it than Tom Brady. I mean, the results are the results. But I, I mean, Tom Brady is kind of like a Peyton Manning. Baker Mayfield is kind of like a Brett Favre. Like there's two different styles there, and I think a guy like Patrick Mahomes is kind of like the mix between the two, isn't he? So I think there's guys that are all across that spectrum, and I thought Baker handled it all really well, though. I mean, it's the old saying, man. The more any publicity is good publicity, right?
I will say I'm glad that Brady showed a little personality
Yeah,
and talking about it. That's good. Like that's what I want. I want to know how Tom Brady actually feels when he's calling games and doing these things. So I'm all for it.
isn't it awesome though? Like he said to me, the stressful thing was not having won a championship there. Like that's where the stress lies. It's not necessarily the preparation and getting ready and all of those things. It's the fact that we haven't accomplished what we were supposed to accomplish yet. I mean, that's a cool way of viewing things.
I think no one's gonna question Tom Brady's methods. You just can't, right?
Yep.
He's the best winner ever in the NFL. So you kind of just have to say, "Hey, man, you did it your way. It clearly was awesome, but there's a different way of doing it." And I think that if the Bucks go on to have a really good season, I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl or anything. Sure would be awesome if they did, but I getting in an argument about Tom Brady with Tom Brady about
How do you
how
how do you
yeah, about
lead
like
your
just how to
team?
do really anything is kind of a losing argument.
Well, here's the thing though. You have to be who you are.
Yeah, no
If
doubt.
Baker Mayfield, and I think at times because of situation and stuff, maybe in Cleveland, Baker was forced to be someone he's not. Baker is a fun-loving, energetic, like he's a man of the people type of player, and that's where he gets his confidence from. He plays better whenever he's himself and he's outgoing, and there's just people have to be who they are. So I don't think there's anything to be upset about if you're Baker Mayfield.
Completely agree. Who do you have as your loser of the week?
Minnesota. Did you see the onside kick against Michigan?
I did.
which for those
No
that
one
don't
was
know,
offsides.
no, Michigan had a huge lead over Minnesota in the fourth quarter. Minnesota has a crazy comeback. They were down, what, 24-3, I believe, and they come flying back into the football game, and they onside kick it with about a minute and a half left, recover it, but an official throws an offsides flag, and it's a bad flag. And it's one that you never throw. You don't drop that flag unless it's egregious. That's how that play has always been handled. So they've said they've changed the way that they're going to do that. I guess they're going to have guys positioned in different spots now. The Big Ten officials are. But dude, you hate that because they had some crazy momentum at the time and would have had the football in really good field position.
You know what's funny is that the Big Ten, they're changing the way that they're doing it. I think like the line where the ball's being kicked, they're going to put two officials there instead of one. That's the change they're making. They put some statement out about that, but they also didn't acknowledge that they messed up and they got it wrong. It
Yeah.
just if I was a Golden Gopher, I'd be pissed. I'm like, oh, thanks for changing the rule.
I thought did they not? I thought they did say that it should not have been called,
The Big
but
Ten, in a statement, did not acknowledge the call was incorrect, is
gotcha.
what I read on an ESPN article.
I must have read just like an opinion
How
after.
is that not? So it's not reviewable.
Correct.
We can review everything. Why can you not review if a guy's past the line when the ball is kicked or not when they recover an onside kick?
It's probably one of those things that goes back to like slowing down the game,
We
right?
review all kinds of stupid stuff.
It should be just like in the last 2 minutes of a game, like or put whatever number on it you want. Everything should be reviewed and make sure they get it right. And my other thing is like if it's so easy that it takes someone in the review booth can look at it in 10 seconds and say you need to pick the flag up. Like they should just do that.
Yeah.
Which I think they do at times when they get together and have those extended huddles. I feel like they're waiting on someone to tell them something.
I cannot confirm nor deny that. I do. You got to be so pissed if you're PJ Fleck in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Like, oh, thanks for changing how you're going to look at those situations when you completely screwed ours up and cost us a chance to possibly go get a huge win.
Yep. Perfect kick. Great
Oh,
kick. Not
perfect
offside.
execution, not offsides, perfect recovery.
I mean,
Special teams
offsides is
coordinator,
it's
thrilled.
called a lot on onside kicks, but it's called a lot whenever it's clearly egregious and clearly offsides. I mean, it has to be very definitive to call that, in my opinion.
I'm with you. All right, let's finish up with my winner and loser. But first, we know we've got some nicotine pouch users that listen, which is why we'd like to introduce you to all our friends at Lucy. Go to lucy.co, that's lucy.co, and use promo code breakdown at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co and use promo code breakdown. Lucy's pouches come in a variety of strengths from 4 milligrams all the way up to 12 milligrams. The fours are all that we need, perfect for the golf course, but I know some of y'all want those 12s.
Woo.
Lucy offers a variety of flavors, including classics like wintergreen and mint, but they also have got apple ice, espresso, and mango. And if pouches aren't your thing, don't worry. Lucy's got gum as well. So why Lucy instead of Zen? Lucy delivers to your house. It's that simple. That's why. Also, they sponsor the podcast. You can even set up a subscription and get your favorites delivered every 30 days. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown for 20% off your first order. Lucy products are for adults of legal age and every order is age verified. Warning, the product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For my winner of the week, Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State.
Woo!
People now know, Ted.
Oh my gosh.
You and I talked about this young man after we watched the Boise Oregon game, going, whoa, look
Yeah.
at this guy. And it seems that this is the week that everyone has discovered what Boise State has in Ashton Jeanty. Boise's up to number 21 in the AP poll. This guy is finally getting the attention he deserves. I mean, going back and thinking about that Oregon game, I think he had 192 and 3 touchdowns against the Ducks.
He is like he's one of the best running backs I've seen in a while in college football.
This dude is the truth.
Oh my, yeah,
His,
without a doubt, the
his
truth.
performance against Washington State, you go and watch the highlights of that. He had 259 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns against Washington State.
And it ain't like they're blowing massive holes open either. He's breaks like 8 tackles on every run.
He is breaking more tackles than I just even thought was possible.
Yeah.
And through 4 games, 845 yards rushing. He's averaging 10.3 a carry. He's scored 13 touchdowns. This guy is insane, and he's finally getting the attention that he deserves. And I've never been an on pace guy, but you crunch some numbers real quick. He's on pace for 3,380 yards rushing and 52 touchdowns.
Well, and it's not like he's going to be playing Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia the rest of the way out.
I I did, by the way, that I just kind of made those numbers up. I don't know if that's right or not, but he is on pace for just a ridiculous season. And it's starting to make me wonder, and there's a whole lot of football to be played. But we've talked about Travis Hunter and Jalen Milroe, and I think you probably I think those are the two guys right now when you talk about the Heisman Trophy that are in the lead, Hunter and Milroe. I think Ashton Jeanty is in the conversation now. Like people are starting to talk about him being a serious candidate to win the Heisman Trophy this season. And I'm starting to wonder what it would take for him to win it. Boise's probably got to go undefeated.
Yeah.
What does he have to rush for? 2,600, 2,700? Does he got to break Barry Sanders' record? Barry Sanders' record in 88 was 2,628 yards.
Yeah. That that Barry Sanders year is stupid. I think his like total yards is something like that it's like mind blowing because I think he was returning punts and kickoffs and stuff too. It's
Just
crazy.
an unbelievable football player.
Um, I
Do
don't know.
yourself a favor. If you've never watched Barry Sanders 1988 highlights, go do it. It's breathtaking.
Yes, it is. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Kind of, I think it's maybe more like as long as he stays healthy, I got no question about what his numbers are going to look like. His numbers are going to be plenty to win the Heisman Trophy if he's healthy. It may have to do with what does everyone else do, and how big, like Travis Hunter, if Colorado's able to win some of these big games down the stretch, it's going to be really hard because of the media attention. Um, like Milroe after that big win, like, some of those guys have such big games that if they continue to win them, it's going to be hard to unseat them. But his numbers are going to be there, without a doubt. Do you know what is he a senior, junior, senior? What is he?
I I'm not sure. I know this. It's his last season of college football.
Well, I was about to say if it's not his last season of college football, buddy, that
Junior.
man,
It's it Doesn't have to be. He's a junior.
Hey, he might make more in college football next year than he would as a running back in the NFL.
I don't think that's an outlandish thing to say. I think he is.
Well, I
He's
guess
going to
where
be
Bijan
RB1.
got drafted where was he drafted?
Yeah, Bijan was drafted early. Remember,
Yeah.
they took him in like
That's
the
what you'd
top
have to
10.
be though. You'd have to be like a top 15 pick or so.
Yeah, Bijan's 4 years, nearly 22 million for the contract. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's going.
Yep.
Even if you're late first round, early second round, you got to go if you're
Yep.
Jeanty.
Oh man, but he
He
would be
looks he'd look real good in crimson and
oh
cream.
my gosh. Woo. Who's he remind you of?
Nobody,
I know. That's why I asked it like that.
because it's almost like fake. You know what he reminds me of is the kid that went through puberty before everyone else and is just running through them.
Yeah, it's like he reminds me of how Tavon Austin looked whenever he was at running back,
Okay, I can see that.
but he's like more well built than that. But
Yeah,
that's kind of
he's
the way he moves, like in the open field. That's what he reminds me of.
you just made a bunch of OU fans almost vomit.
Well, yeah, well,
God,
go watch that. Go watch his film.
the stuff from I saw Dane Brugler put out like 5 clips of him against Washington State. It's unbelievable, dude.
I know, and I mentioned to you the comment I made is like it looks like he's like really not even trying.
It's fun to
It's
watch. Go
weird.
check it out. But I did not expect to have a Boise State game. I was really interested in the Oregon game, watched a lot of that game, but I did not expect to have a Boise State game the rest of the way circled on the calendar. But UNLV, Boise State, 9:30 p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports Network, October 25th. That's a Friday nighter.
Oh yeah,
I'll be staying up for that one, buddy.
heck yeah, that'll be a good one. Some good players and one of the best safeties in the country for UNLV. That'll be a good one.
That will be fun. All right, my loser of the week. The streak is over, Ted. My streak of not watching a single Major League Baseball game in the year of our Lord 2024 has ended. It's that time of the year, baby. I'm all in. Playoff
Yeah,
baseball. Are you watching playoff baseball in the Lehman household or not? What are we doing?
it was on last night. The Padres game was on. I would be lying
Tatis
if
hit
I
that
said
ball to the damn moon.
I wasn't paying super close attention to it, but it was on.
So, for those of you that don't know this, I do not watch a single, not one. I don't watch a single regular season Major League Baseball game, but I love the playoffs. I love the tension. I love the wild card games. And so I watched baseball all Tuesday. I love watching postseason baseball, and I found myself cheering for the Royals.
Huh.
It just because of Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah.
And he delivered. They win 1-0. He has the one RBI. How about that?
What a year, man. What
Guy
a
is an
year.
absolute stud. And Baltimore they're feeling nervous. I remember last year, people were very excited, got swept. They lose the next one, man. That'll be over for a couple of playoffs in a row when they've had some good teams,
Yep.
from what I understand from cramming once the playoffs get here. The Mets didn't make the playoffs till like Monday, is what I read. And they flew there and then just won in Milwaukee.
Yeah, they had to
Sure.
play I think did they play a doubleheader in
They had a
Atlanta?
makeup doubleheader and then one Monday. I did they fly there the day of the game? Did they fly there on Tuesday yesterday?
Had to have. Well, I
Crazy.
guess they could have done it late Monday, but yeah,
That's cool.
tough
But
back to back. I guess they're used to it though.
yeah, no, I think that the Padres, they jumped on the Braves early. Tatis is back. He's got his swag back, man. Nice win. And then I I don't like the Astros. Every time I watch, I find myself rooting against them. And the Tigers beat up on them 3-1. And I, it was my first time watching Tarek Skubal pitch.
Huh.
And that man is nasty. Oh,
Hmm.
lefty just he was making some of those guys from the Astros look silly. That was fun to watch. My first Skubal experience.
First Scooble experience. I've yet to have a Scooble experience.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, the Astros, I feel like everyone hates them, and that hate gives them power in the playoffs, and the more people hate them, the better they play.
Well, Tarek Skubal did not care.
Yeah.
He was sitting guys down. I think it was six just rock solid innings from Skubal. I don't even know if I'm saying the guy's name right. I'm pretty sure that's it. But hey,
Scoobal.
I'm here for the playoff baseball.
Okay.
I'm going to do it again today. Got some drama. Wild card Wednesday. Let's go.
I like it.
Do you have a baseball team? Do you have one that you cheer for? I don't.
Not really.
Okay.
Not
Let's
really. I kind of latch on to some individual players every now and then. Currently I'm kind of a free agent
Okay.
when it comes to
Well,
baseball.
yeah, it's kind of just a fun, neutral observer experience for me.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same.
On that note, oh no, wait, we got birthday shout outs.
Yes.
Got a couple too. Welcome to the world. Elliot Robert Holmes.
Welcome to the world, Sutton Everly Bowen.
Happy first birthday to Ryder James.
Happy 5th birthday to Maverick Connus.
Happy 28th birthday to Maggie Soldier.
And happy 80th birthday to Bill Steele.
80 for Bill.
Big 80.
What a solid, strong name. Bill Steele.
I like it.
And then happy 42nd anniversary. Wow. 42nd anniversary to Randy and Renee Cochran. On that note, episode 462 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Sunday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Doing a lot of stuff over there, so go check it out. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the bye weekend, people. Take a load off. Stress-free. Nothing better. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.